I believe that if you really want greatness from your life, you have to become a master at managing your life. If I decide that I want to make a direction for my life that I have not been taking in the past, then I need to learn what are the steps that are necessary in order for me to make that thing happen in my life.
If you knew that you could experience the best life ever, would you try? Are you heading along the right path in life? Welcome to Change Your Mind, Change Your Life with your hosts, Jim and Lynn Swearingen. In our program, you'll learn to dispel the myths surrounding hypnosis, and by doing so, start to piece together the life that you've always wanted. Now, here are your hosts, Jim and Lynn Swearingen.
Welcome to Change Your Mind, Change Your Life. I'm Jim.
And I'm Lynn.
Bringing you uncommon solutions for common problems. Our goal is to give you the knowledge and tools you need to let go of limiting beliefs and tap the power of your mind. You can live the life of your dreams. You can have fulfillment. Life is an adventure. Come and walk with us today.
Thank you. Have you ever noticed, instead of living with an understanding of who we truly are, that we live according to who we think we are? We live according to a perception of ourselves. Have you ever heard the phrase, perception is everything? Sometimes perception is an outright lie that we tell ourselves. We felt it important to do this because the vast majority of people who come to our office seeking help, for whatever reason they come in for, usually there are problems of suffering from low self-esteem, self-image, lack of confidence, a very poor and distorted self-image.
Self-image is a collection of ideas about ourselves, ideas from many sources which attach themselves firmly to our subconscious. We can spend a lifetime trying to alter a damaging self-perception. We live according to who we imagine ourselves to be.
Our featured guest today is Darrell Knoch, who has developed an inspirational yet practical blueprint for overcoming adversity and achieving unstoppable self-confidence. His book, Mastering a Healthy Self-Image, a guidebook to real happiness and enormous success, is an inspirational guidebook teaching you how to achieve your personal dreams and professional goals.
Darrell's story of personal transformation and absorbing success is both poignant and inspirational. It's a tale of triumph. How a disfigured, abused, and emotionally scarred boy, raised on welfare, rose to amazing heights in the business world, became a self-made multimillionaire.
Darrell's book is on the top 10 best-selling authors list at Amazon. It's an inspirational but practical blueprint, which we've already mentioned, but you can't mention that enough. Because this is what people need, a blueprint, something they can follow for change. Overcoming adversity, achieving unstoppable self-confidence, and attaining your goals for personal and professional success.
Darrell's story of personal transformation and astonishing success is both poignant and inspirational. It's a tale of triumph. How a disfigured, abused, and emotionally scarred boy, raised on welfare, rose to amazing heights in the business world, became self-made multimillionaire. Darrell earned 2 patents, became an entrepreneur who took 5 companies national and international and generated billions of dollars in revenue, and then went on to become an inventor, real estate authority, financier, public speaker, author, and mentor to many. His story will leave you inspired and impressed and amazed. Darrell, welcome to the show. We're excited to have you with us today.
Well, thank you for having me on today.
So we've got a 3-part series that we're going to be doing on your book. So why don't you tell us about the positive aspects and the power of believing?
I really didn't believe in myself when I was a young boy. Having some of that adversity has a tendency to challenge you. And so, I needed to change my view of me, just like you talked about at the beginning of the show. Our self-esteem is our view and our concept of who we are. And I didn't have the best of self-esteem. I didn't have the best self-confidence, and I really needed to change that view of who I was. And so I started going through a variety of different practices of talking to myself about who am I? How much do I like myself? And you know, how do you change that viewpoint? And I did a lot of study, I did a lot of self-introspection, and I really made some decisions that I would not accept who I had thought I was in the past, and that I was going to make a change in my life.
Darrell, before we get too far down the line, can you tell the listeners a little bit about your own personal story?
As you mentioned, I grew up on welfare. I'm the youngest of 7 children, and my father had left home and left my mother with 7 children to raise, and she had a 9th grade education, so I'm 57. 57 years ago, a 9th grade education, even today, the more we educate ourselves, the better we have of a chance of going somewhere in life. And she just had not had that opportunity to have more of an education. And so at the age of 1, I was starting to run out toward the road. Being the youngest of 7, my older sister was 11 at the time. She came running after me, and she tripped on the sidewalk, and she fell on me, and she landed on the back of my head and literally crushed my face into the cement. We were on welfare. My mother didn't have the resources and the ability to do much other than wipe my face clean, and I grew up with a crushed face. I was at 16 years of age when I got my first surgery, and I had 2 more surgeries at age 40 and age 42. I had a very poor self-esteem, and I really had a lot of issues with having that disfigured face, and I had to do a lot of work in order to overcome that, but I did make the decision to do the work that was necessary to overcome that, and I went on to learn to be a great business person. I took 5 companies, national and international, in 35 years, and now I decided to write a book that told the magic of my life, of how I took that young boy from being low self-esteem to being high self-esteem and being ultra successful. And I wanted to share that story and that blueprint with the world on how I did that and how they can do that.
Did you get any special education along the line to do this, or is this something that you came with your imagination?
Well, I did get a lot of special education, and it was a lot of self-special education, but at age 22, my oldest brother gave me a set of Zig Ziglar tapes, and that was the beginning of starting the change of my life. And I listened to people like yourself every opportunity I could. I literally immersed myself as much as my physical day would allow me in Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, Earl Nightingale, Dennis Waitley, Les Brown.
So speaking from a standpoint of someone who's had, terrible disfigurement, a bad self-image from that, how can a person with a distorted self-image begin to step back objectively and identify their strengths?
One of the things that I really believe in is taking time to look inside yourself. And, I call it daydreaming. We've had some negative connotation brought to ourselves about the word of daydreaming, but in reality, I think that focused properly, daydreaming can be an exceptional tool. I like to go into a dark room, and in that dark room, I'll set for 30 minutes, sometimes an hour, and I will have made a few notes to myself of topics that I want to do some daydreaming about. And I will sit there in that dark room with a pad of paper and a pen and a little flashlight, and I will daydream, and I will write down everything that I can write down that comes to me as I am going through that process. And I think that's a great way to start to say to yourself, what's going right in my life, and what do I need to get going better? What do I need to change? What do I need to focus on in order to make my life different than it is today?
One of the going definitions of hypnotism is daydreaming. So we're right on the same level. You daydream and call it daydreaming.
I know I talked to you before about whether or not you were using hypnosis. I had a sense that whether or not you call it that you were. And we have, when we talk to people that have never used hypnosis as a tool before, we explain to them that we're simply coaching them and we're guiding them to lower their brain waves to that spot where you are simply in a meditative state or a daydreaming state. And it's a very powerful place to be, where you describe going in and imagining yourself the way you want to be and focusing on the things you want to be. Hypnosis is just a focused state of concentration, being completely absorbed in one thing to the exclusion of everything else.
Right.
And this is what obviously this has been a help to you too.
I believe that if you really want greatness from your life, you have to become a master at managing your life.
You talk in your book about the law of cause and effect, the law of becoming, the law of concentration. These laws all deal with our belief systems. Can you elaborate on your beliefs about the relationship between our thoughts and actions and also our mental evolution?
I certainly can. The old saying, you become what you focus on most. You become what you think about most.
Right.
And so if you want to become something different than what you have, if you want your life circumstances to become different, then you have to focus on that circumstance that you're looking to have. One of the things that I do some live seminars, and my topic is called Self-Esteem to Prosperity. Learn to dream, visualize, and make it happen. And so, as we're doing that dreaming, those are great exercises. We're learning to become a different person. We're learning the aspects of where we want to go, but we have to learn how to take massive action in order to get those results as well. And so, if we really want to make some changes, we have to learn to have some different kind of conversations with ourselves. And, the law of concentration means you're going to focus. You are going to get that. You're going to get that goal no matter what you have to do, no matter how hard you have to work. You're going to concentrate. You're going to become what you set out to do because you've focused and you've decided, I am going to become this different person.
And I think you just hit on the key words, I am. It's very, very important for people that are going through this daydreaming state, this mental rehearsal for the new person that they want to be, that their focus in their validations is, I am. Not I will, not maybe next week, but I am.
I'll try,
I totally agree with you. I am the creator of my life. No one else is responsible. Me. It is me and me alone that chooses and sets the direction. And so I have to change. I have to set that direction. I have to be responsible for the direction I am going to go in.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And I know there are a lot of people thinking, how can I do that? I'm in such desperate situation. It doesn't mean that you can magically change the things that are going on around you, but you do have the power to change how you react, how you respond, what you decide to do. Like you just said, you decide that you are changing and focus on where you want to go with that.
Well, it's just like anything in life. Nothing happens overnight. We hear the statement of so and so was an overnight success, but we forget to look at the years and hours of countless time and energy that they put into that prior to everyone in the world noticing who they were. And so, they may come on the stage, and we may, with our media today, we may get a splash from somebody that we hadn't heard of before, but I promise you there was no overnight success. There was countless hours of effort put into it, countless planning sessions going on. And so anything that you're going to do that's going to make a dramatic change in your life is going to take a number of hours. It's going to take countless preparation and perspiration in order to get there. But if you really believe in yourself, you will have the tools to be able to get there.
Well, you mentioned that when you daydream, you take a notebook, and write down what you are, where you are, and where you want to be. And I mean, that in itself has got to clue people in that they're going to have to take time and calm down and relax and get a true picture of what's going on. Absolutely, it takes time.
I mean, a simple effort. When you first learned to ride a bicycle, most of us didn't get on that bicycle, and we were able to ride it effortlessly with the very first try that we had. We had to try. We fell down. We got back up, and we got back on the bicycle, and we tried it again. Or we had somebody holding the bicycle, helping us learn how to ride that bicycle. And that, that's your role and my role is we're here to help you learn the process of changing your attitude and changing your life.
Absolutely.
Many people are gripped with fear. What method do you suggest? Let's get into your blueprint. What method do you suggest to eliminate fears of rejection, fears of change, and even fear of success?
Well, one of the things that I really like to put forward is, if you're gonna go off into a particular direction of life, you don't have to go head first. The old saying, you put your toe in the water and see if it's cold. And so if you overcome small hurdles, then that will give you some confidence, and it will help overcome the fear because you're taking it little bites at a time rather than jumping off into the deep end of the pool before you know how to swim. Get into the shallow end of the pool, and that allows you to take little steps towards overcoming that fear.
Right.
One of the things that helped me a lot that I've used with people that are fearful, that I read, is calling this a fear inoculation. You face up, you summarize what your fears are, and you don't tackle the biggest fear first. You look at them sequentially, and like you just said, you put your toe in the water. You face that first fear, and when you do that, it almost always turns out to be much easier than you expected. You wonder why you never did it before, and it strengthens your inner core. It strengthens your confidence in yourself, and it gives you what we call a fear inoculation. Just like when you get an inoculation for the flu, you get a little bit of the flu, and it strengthens you against more. So with every subsequent fear that you face up to, you become stronger and stronger in your own self-image and your confidence to deal with things and your ability to do it and know that the world's not going to end if you face that fear. And it sounds like that's what you're doing.
That's a great analogy, an inoculation. I like that. That really fits well with the message that we're trying to say is, every business I've started over the course of my life, I didn't start as a multi-million-dollar-a-year business. I started it, and, I took a little bit of savings, in some cases as little as $50, and just started. And week by week, I invested a little bit more and a little bit more so that I had a little bit more time, a little bit more money, a little bit more effort, and just week by week, I grew. And that accomplishment feedback of saying, okay, I accomplished this much this week, how much more can I accomplish next week? And that feedback of that accomplishment really tears away that fear, tears away that self-doubt, and allows you to continue on and go 1 week, 1 day, 1 year, and you just keep on going.
One step at a time. People may be wondering, you talk in your book about pushing yourself past your comfort level. And for some people, just being comfortable to them would be a form of success. So explain why it's important to push past that comfort level.
Well, I really believe that one of the things that makes people feel good about themselves is that they are doing so much more for other people, and that they always are looking to reach further to help other people. And so if we look at the comfort level and we say, hey, I'm pretty good here where I'm at, you start to lose your enthusiasm in life. And, no one wants to lose their enthusiasm for life. And so always pushing past that little comfort level. And, here again, you don't have to push yourself in the deep end of the water to push yourself in comfort. You push small pieces at a time. Learn to overcome that comfort level ceiling just a little bit. And then a little bit this week, a little bit next week, and now you've pushed way past that level of comfort, but you've been able to enhance other people's lives so much because you did learn to push back that comfort level.
Right. You say your outer world will be a mirror of your inner world. What do you mean by that? We have in the hypnotism business, if you want to call it that, HipBiz, a litany. We talk to ourselves all the time. So will you explain what you mean by self-talk to our listeners, please?
Well, every time we do something, we always do some rehearsal of what we're doing, and we always talk to ourselves,
Yes.
As you know, we all have, thousands of thoughts a day, and so those thoughts that we're having are, in a sense, we're talking to ourselves. And so if I walk through a room and I'm not paying attention to something and I hit my head on a counter the cabinet, sometimes I'll say, a person would say to themselves, well, that was stupid. Why weren't you paying attention? That's self-talk. And,
that's right.
I'm of the belief that we must learn to change the self-talk that we have. Like we were talking earlier, I am going to be great today at that sales meeting that I'm going to be in. I am going to close this deal, and we're going to give this customer a great opportunity to benefit from the products or services that we're selling, and have those great, good, positive talks with yourself. One of the things that I have is I have a little card that I like to give out to people, and I actually have it taped to my mirror in my bathroom, and it simply says, I like myself, I love my life, I'm excited, I'm happy, I'm healthy, and I add brightness to the life of everyone I meet. And I talk to myself that way every day, and that really helps me change my life. It helps me keep control of my life, keeping me on a positive path rather than going down a negative path that's so easy to follow.
Right.
I love that. Would you say that again?
I certainly can say that again. And I would love to send you a copy of that also, Lynn, and I'd love to send your listeners a copy of that. I like myself. I love my life. I'm excited. I'm happy. I'm healthy. And I add brightness to the life of everyone I meet. My website is truewealthuniversity.com. We all need positive reinforcement. I believe I have a great attitude in life every day, but there are days that I need a little extra reinforcement to remind myself I'm excited today. I have a lot to be thankful for. I have a lot going on in my life, and sometimes I just need a little reminder. And so that's why I feel like that's really, even for me, is a way for me to keep myself on track.
Good. Well, you got to keep. We have to continue to remind people that we have our disciplines too. Just because we're professionals and we're behind the desk doesn't mean we don't have to do work too. We're all working to make ourselves more presentable and happier, among other things.
You know, I like to say that I'm a student for my entire life of how do I make my life better today and every day.
It's an ongoing process. It's something that you continually have to do. Self-talk changes, too. Things happen, and you have to continually, like you just said it, you have to continually remind yourself and keep steering yourself back onto the right course so that you don't become overcome again with negative thoughts. One thing that you... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you know, we all have growth in our life, so as we grow, then like you mentioned, our self-talk needs to change a little bit to be relevant for the growth that we're looking for today. So although I have that one set of self-talk that I say to myself every day, I also have other self-talk things that are growing me in the direction that is applicable to today's life.
Absolutely. And we tell people, you know, they sometimes come in thinking that hypnosis is a magic bullet and they're going to be cured of everything in one session. And what people don't understand is that you need to be feeding your subconscious mind the same way that you feed your body. You eat the right things to be healthy. You feed your mind by studying or doing crosswords. You do things to keep your mind active. You may have spiritual practices. You do all of these things to keep yourself a well-rounded, healthy person, and yet very few people realize that your subconscious mind needs to be trained. It needs you to be talking to it. It's listening to you. When you tell yourself negative things, your subconscious mind is listening, and the job of your subconscious mind is to listen and to make it happen. You create your own reality. So it's important to be always on top of your self-talk.
That's right.
Well, you know, Zig Ziglar had a great saying that he used to say that, you know, I took a bath yesterday, but, you know, I need to take another one today to make sure that I'm still clean and healthy.
Exactly.
So, same with your mind. You fed it yesterday, but you need to feed it again today in order to keep it healthy and happy and going in the right direction.
You talk about defining a plan. How do you define a plan besides the daydreaming activity and writing down ideas? It's a very important part of what you teach is defining your plan.
Well, you know, we have to first decide what plan that is going to be. That is absolutely imperative that we decide what that plan, at least the outcome of where we want to be. And so once we decide what outcome we're looking for, then it's time to sit down and break out that plan into step-by-step processes. That's one of the reasons that I call my book a guidebook, is I lay out step-by-step processes on how to build a healthy self-esteem, how to build a set of affirmations that's going to be positive and take you where you want to go, but how to have a business plan for your life that gives you step-by-step processes. So if I decide that I want to make a direction for my life that I have not been taking in the past, then I need to learn what are the steps that are necessary in order for me to make that thing happen in my life. And so I start to read, I start to listen, I start to educate myself. And if I want to make a plan of going from Denver to San Francisco, and I don't have a defined plan that says that I need to take Highway 80 from Denver to San Francisco. I'm going to go on 25 and I'm going to go down to 10. That isn't going to get me to San Francisco, not in a direct manner anyhow. And so I have to have that day-by-day step plan put together of, I want to learn how to play an instrument. And so what are the steps that I need to do in order to learn how to play an instrument? I need to get a little education. I need to do some practicing. How many hours a day am I going to practice? That's part of my plan. What instrument is it that I'm going to learn to play? And what kinds of tools do I need in order to make that plan happen, to learn to play that instrument? I need a piece of sheet music. I need, to have the instrument itself. All of the things that I need to have, I write those things out, and that's all part of my plan, is to literally put together the step-by-step roadmap of how I'm going to achieve the goal that I've set for myself.
Right.
The devil is in the details. Need to be specific.
We're
at another commercial break,
years
Darrell.
ago, I used to think, old sayings really were not as relevant as they should be or could be. But now today, as I'm older, I say old sayings are more relevant today than they ever have been. Just like you said, the devil is in the details. That is profound. One of the things that I really like to say to people is, you have to learn to believe in yourself. Believe in yourself with passion. Make those decisions that are really going to affect your life and be a part of growing your life and be affecting others that you touch every day as well. Believe in yourself with passion. Go out and really, truly change the world.
I can't think of anything better to say than that. It's story time. Everybody loves to hear a good story. How about sharing some of your success stories with people that you've met and worked with over the years?
I'd be glad to. I had a young man that I was working with. We had known each other for a number of years and become friends, and he had some good things happen in his life, but all of a sudden he was having just terrible issues with shortness of breath, and he said it felt like his heart was coming out of his body, and he went to the doctor, and he had conversations and had test after test after test, and they said, we think you have this incurable disease, and you probably need to get your life in order because you probably don't have more than maybe 2 or 3 months left because of this disease. And, he kept having these same symptoms, the shortness of breath and the tightness in his chest, and it was like he felt like he was going to die right there and right then. And we had the opportunity to have dinner one evening, and he told me about all of this that was happening with him, and that he'd been to this doctor and that doctor, and the diagnosis had changed, and no one was really sure what was going on with him. And I said to him, Bob, I believe that you need to take control of your mind, and you need to be in control of fixing yourself. So I said, what I would like you to do is I would like you to get on a website, and I'd like you to get a hold of everything that Zig Ziglar has to say, everything that Tony Robbins has, Dennis Waitley. I want you to start every day as you do your exercising. I want you to have those earphones on, and I want you to pour that information into your head. And literally, I believe that it is going to change your life, and it is going to change what's going on because you need to heal yourself. And
right.
So he was so scared of losing his life. He had 3 young children, his wife, a wonderful life, but it was eating him alive, so to speak. And so he decided, I realize I need to do something. And so he did what I asked him to do. He started feeding his mind every day with good, positive, healthy information. And over the course of the next 30 days, he said that he fed his mind an average of 3 to 4 hours a day. Because every day as he would drive to work, he was feeding his mind. Every day as he was exercising, when he was on his way home from work, 3 to 4 hours a day, he was putting good, positive, healthy information. And at the end of 30 days, he said everyone around him could tell the difference. And he really had a tremendous change in the symptoms. And what we really ultimately decided was he was having massive anxiety attacks because he wasn't in control of his mind. He was watching too much negative news. He was watching too many other things that were making him feel like his life was out of control, and that was bringing those symptoms on. But by feeding his mind with all of the good, healthy, positive information that I was able to help him get his hands on, it literally changed his life, and his whole world has changed now. He is as healthy as can be. He came out to Arizona to see me about a year ago, and we climbed to the top of Camelback Mountain, which is 2,700 foot up, without, hardly noticing that we were climbing 2,700 foot. His life, he took control of his life, and it changed his life.
That's wonderful. Good. I love to hear those stories, and they happen a lot more than people realize. It's a lot of times all you need is to take control. So we'd like to thank you, Darrell, so much for being with us today, and especially for agreeing to come back to continue this on for the next 2 weeks.
Looking forward to that, Darrell. We really look forward to you coming back.
Well, we're going to have some great conversations about how gratitude will fill your life more than you could ever believe.
And that will be the second of a 3-part series based on his book, Mastering a Healthy Self-Image, a guidebook for real happiness and enormous success, which we've already said over and over again is at the top 10 on Amazon. It's a wonderful way to learn how to overcome adversity and to improve your self-image and confidence.
Absolutely.
Darrell's going to talk next week, as he said, about the importance of living in a state of gratitude.
Thank you for listening to Change Your Mind, Change Your Life with your hosts, Jim and Lynn Swearingen.